Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? Sandra Sheffer, host of Racing the Races. Okay, I'm starting a little late today because I had to do this trek from downtown Miami. I try not to go there, but then imagine I call myself 305 all day, and all of a sudden I'm just like, I ain't trying to drive to Miami in the afternoon, but I made it. I'm here, and talking about Miami, I'm actually going to talk about the Miami Dade ballot today, partly because I was talking to some people this morning. I was talking to it was some people this morning, and they had voted already, and I was like, oh yeah, that's great, you guys voted already. And then I saw some of the candidates they chose, and I'm like, okay, well, why'd you pick that person? I don't know. We just kind of guess. I'm like, what? No, we don't want y'all to do that. There's no need to guess. There's so much information out here about candidates. And if you go and look to find out something about a candidate and you can't find nothing about that candidate, that may mean that you may not need to vote for that candidate. So I was just kind of like, oh my goodness, people are still doing this. And part of the reason why I've gotten so involved in this is because I remember one time, this was back in like probably early 2000, that I went to vote, and I was just like, I don't know who these people are. And I was picking, just like, okay, I want to not vote. And so I did that. And I was like, I'll never, ever do that again. So I have a group of people that I can call if there's a race that I'm not as familiar with. Sometimes, particularly the judges in Miami-Dade, I have a few people I can call to see if they're on the same page, and then if they're not, there's one person I defer to more than the other. So I am going to talk about the judges that are on the Miami-Dade ballot. And I just want to let you know, they're not asking me to do this. I'm doing this on my own because I know how important it is, right? So like I said, I was talking to these people this morning, and I was so happy that they did go ahead and vote. But some of the choices they made, I'm like, no, oh my goodness. Because there are some people who I know that are doing really good work, and they didn't get that vote, and it wasn't just them, because they're like, oh, all the family comes together, and, they talk about it, and they go ahead and decide on who they're going to vote for. And so the fact that was just not just one vote, that was a number of votes. I thought it was important again for me to come here and talk about this. I did talk about the Broward ballot, I think about 2 weeks ago, because last week we had Dale Holness on. Go ahead and check that video out if he's one of the people that you're interested in. We did a whole, I think it was almost an hour-long interview where he talked about a lot of stuff. I did get some feedback on that, and I just want to stay away from the feedback. But if you slide into my DMs like everybody else did when I talk about people, go ahead and do that. So we'll talk about Dade County ballot. I'll go back through the Broward ballot again. And I have been saying that early voting was going to be from August 3rd to the 16th in Broward, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But it turns out that that's not in fact the case. Early voting is going to start in Broward on August the 8th. And it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So even though Florida allows for a 2-week early voting period between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., each county can decide if that's what it is that they want to do. So understand that it's costs for a county to put on elections. They have to bear the cost. They have to staff the place. They have to have the locations. So it may have been some financial considerations on why it is that they did that. The other thing, too, is that they also look at the trends. Like, is this a place that people go and vote? Or what are the times in which people go and vote? So sometimes that could be the determining factor. However, if you're looking at when it is that people go and vote, you need to let people vote before they go to work. I think 7 a.m. would have been a better time to start, because most people don't start work till like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and then they can go, or if they're doing drop off, because that'll be during the first week of school, at least in Broward, because Broward starts school August the 10th. So that will be like the first week of school. So people could have head on out to vote after they're doing the nightmare drop off, which is the first few days of school. But now they have to probably go to work, settle in, and then leave their house again to go and vote at 10 o'clock. So I don't like the idea that it's starting at 10, but I do like the idea that we at least have some early voting times. So I wish they did leave it at 7 so people can go before work or right after they drop their children off to school, but it is what it is. So it's 10 to 7, August 8th through the 16th. Early voting. There's no voting on August the 17th, which is that Monday before August 18th, which is the absolute last day in which you get to vote. Now, I'm doing this show because again, vote by mail ballots are out. So people are already voting, and candidates are still, they're putting in that work. There've been forums left, right, center. I believe Chef Jones have like that he's going to have like a breakfast thing that's happening on Saturday. First 200 people are going to get a meal. They're having these listen sessions. I think there was a listening session either in Miami Gardens yesterday or happening today, something to that effect. There was an event in Hallandale Monday night that I was able to go to. All of the CD24 people eventually made it. Gene Monistin got there late. There was some mix up, and I guess he didn't hear about it in time or something. But he did make it over there. All of the CD24 people were there, and state Senate 34. Ashley Gant was there. Christine Sanonjou was there. Shannon Igabara wasn't there. Not sure why. I believe they were all invited. She wasn't there, but Christine Sanonjou was there. She's running for state Senate seat 34, and Ashley Gant was also there. They took their time, answered the questions, and I think those sisters are going to go there and do that work, right? So it's going to be an amazing race. All those folks are there. They're going to go there and do good work. They have records that you can stand on. Christine has the activism side where she's done a lot of work, hasn't held elected office, but she does the work, has been showing up for the community, at least since I've known her, because we met in that space. And of course, Ashley is an elected, two-time elected for House District 109. And she answered the call, won her seats, and now she's moving up to the Senate. So make your choice. Now, if people go check some stuff, they'll see who I supported. I did. I am supporting Christine Sanonjou in that race. I know Ashley well, but I am supporting Christine Sanonjou because I do believe that we need to have people who are like in the community, for the community, know what it is that everyone's going through every single day. And I think she's the person to do that. And she has all the different cultural aspects that I think that's important for the diversity of that particular community. Now, again, as I said in the beginning, ain't nobody asked me to do this, right? I'm just doing it on my own because I do have people who reach out to me and ask me questions about candidates. And I thought it would take, it was important for me to go ahead and just talk about this. So let me pull out this Miami-Dade ballot because I was actually, and one of the things that really got me with the person today that I was talking to was that a lot of times people don't know who to vote for when it comes to judges. And let me tell you, it matters who you vote for when it comes to judges. The judges hold these seats for 6 years. And the only way once they're in, they only get kicked out if they decide to leave. If it's a county court judge, every now and then they may want to move up and become a circuit court judge or something like that. But they're there for 6 years. And it matters who is on that bench. It really does matter who's on that bench because, we have, the types of folks that find themselves as part of the criminal justice system. You want to know how a judge is sentencing folks, like what type of, it's more on the sentencing side because are they one that's more into restorative justice, giving people second chances when they deserve them? You want to know these things, or you want to know how people sentence because there's some judges out there that sentence harshly for no reason, right? And we actually had an experience with that in Broward a couple of years ago that this judge who had sentenced someone to so it was a ridiculous sentence. He had to get off the bench because some stuff happened. And then he tried to run again. I'm thinking people weren't going to remember that he was the one that did all this nonsense. So it's important to pay attention to who these judges are. So let me stop talking on that and just go ahead and talk to y'all about who these judges are in Miami-Dade and how you should support them, right? So Miami-Dade. Now, hold on a minute. So I'm gonna go straight to the judges. So the judges in group 35, Renee Gordon is vote for Renee Gordon in group 35. Renee Gordon in group 69, Bonita Jones Peabody is in that race. Vote for her. And in group 76, vote for Spencer Ige. Group 5, vote Artie Lamar Marty McNeil. Group 67, Mayville Ruiz. Group 25, Luis Perez Medina. So there's 6 judges on the ballot in Miami-Dade. So group 35, Renee Gordon. Group 69, Bonita Jones Peabody. Group 76, Spencer Ige. Group 5, Arthur Lamar Marty McNeil. Group 67, Mabel Ruiz, and Group 25, Luis Perez Medina. Those are the judges and how you should vote in Miami-Dade. Now, of course, this Senate race is the U.S. Senate race. The Democratic primary is there. You have Alex Vidman and Angie Nixon that's on the ballot. Y'all better go vote for Angie Nixon. Like, for real, y'all need to stop playing and go vote for Angie Nixon. Because I want you to tell me, when have you heard Alex Vidman talk about anything, right? All you do is get emails from this man asking you for money, or you get text messages from this man asking for money. And then when he was out at Florida Blue a couple of weeks ago in Orlando, people were chasing him down barefoot. He wouldn't talk to them. He was hiding in the bathroom because he didn't want to talk to people. That man's not even from Florida. He came Florida a couple of years ago because, you know, some of these clowns in DC thought they would be a good choice. And just because he got popular doing the insurrection trials or whatever, that he would be a good choice for Senate. No, that man don't want that job. He's not going to do that job well, because if you can't talk to the people now, if you can't debate Angie Nixon right now, then you can't be the senator representing the interests of the people, considering all of the issues that need to be addressed when people in this U.S. Senate. So we don't need nobody that's going to go over there and can't handle the work. Because if you cannot handle the smoke of a primaries, you absolutely cannot handle the smoke of what's going to be happening in D.C., or at least what needs to be happening in D.C., right? Because there needs to be a lot of, fighting and advocating for constituents. And if you running from people in the parking lot, bruh, you don't need to be there. So all these other, and I'm not the president of no Democratic clubs anymore, so nobody can come tell me nothing, okay? So do not vote for that man. He's not going to do the work of the people. He's scared to debate Angie Nixon right now. No one has heard anything on what he's talking about. All you do is get emails for him asking you for $5, $3, however much, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what we need. We need a fighter that's going to go there. And he's not from Florida, and he don't know Florida, the kind of problems Floridians have. So on the U.S. Senate side for the Democrat, it's Angie Nixon. Now, I got a whole bunch of smoke because I made some comments on that District 24 race, okay? I got a whole bunch of smoke. I got people sliding my DMs. I got some phone calls. So on that one, listen, I'm going to just have to leave that alone. But I think in terms of like who really are at the top of, who are really the top three, I'm just going to say the top three. I think it's Kendrick Meek, Sharon Jones, Oliver Gilbert. Those are the top three. All the other people, I'm glad for their ambition. You know, I know they want to try it. I would be very surprised if either anybody but one of the three of them actually wins that race. So I think it's going to be between Kendrick Meek, Oliver Gilbert, and Sharon Jones. And they all have some sort of record to stand on. Some got legacy. Some have that they've been elected officials. Both Sharon and Oliver have been elected officials. So you can look at their records and see how they're doing their work. Now, I talked about this last week about Sharon Jones and Oliver Gilbert talking about the alligator Alcatraz money. They need to leave that conversation alone, because both of them took the money from, PACs and all that stuff. So y'all just need to find something else to talk about and tell me how you're going to make my cost of insurance go down. Tell me how you're going to expand like health insurance. I have a family member right now who needs medication, but it's $19,000 a month. And who could pay that, right? So I need you to tell me how we can deal with that, because and this is a serious medical condition where it's absolutely necessary, and we're out here trying to figure out alternatives, how we can go back. We're really just trying to figure out how we can get this medication before their health deteriorate to a point where there's nothing we can do. Okay. So I need y'all to talk about what y'all going to do about this insurance stuff, right? Because again, how is it that some prescription medication is $19,000 a month? That just don't even make no sense. Okay. So talk about that and forget about who took developer money. Tell me what you're going to do about this, about the health insurance part of it. So for the District 24, it's going to be between Kendrick Meek, Oliver Gilbert, Sharon Jones. Y'all figure that out. They got enough stuff out there in these streets that you guys can decide what you want to do. Because I don't need no more phone calls, people sliding in my DM. I literally got cussed out for real, about what I said about, the person that wore red bottoms. And I don't think he's been wearing them. So hopefully he stopped wearing them. And I won't repeat the name. Now for governor, Dottie Joseph is the candidate for governor. I said this before. I know, again, all these Democrats are out here supporting David Jolly. David Jolly's a Republican. Okay. Listen, the man's a Republican. He's been a Republican. He was not, because he hated Donald Trump. He was on MSNBC, and then who doesn't hate what Donald Trump is doing? If you're a halfway decent person, then you wouldn't support anything Donald Trump does. And because you don't support him doesn't mean you're no longer a Republican. It's just that you don't support Donald Trump version of being a Republican. But that don't mean you're not no Republican at heart, okay? So as far as I'm concerned, David Jolly's still a Republican, y'all. He's a Republican. So don't support that. Not at all. Not at all. And I did speak to one of the MPA candidates off the record. So, and they're going to be on the ballot because they don't have a primary. But I'm still going to say vote Dottie Joseph for governor. And I know that there's some people that's supporting Dana Marie Foster. I saw some people supporting it. I think she made it on one of the palm cards. But I'm telling you, Dottie Joseph is the way to go. She's an elected official. She knows this work. She's worked on every level of government. She is ready for this position. I just hate that she came in so late. And that was because, Jerry Dimmons had to leave to deal with some health issues. But Dottie Joseph is a candidate for governor. Now, this chief financial officer, I think I told people to vote for Annette Taddeo, but I've been hearing more and more about Earl Ford. And I say do that, vote Earl Ford for the chief financial officer. Because, and let me tell you, so I say this, definitely don't vote for none of them Republicans. Because, so yesterday, so Monday was the last day for people, Haitians and Syrians that had temporary protected status. Their work authorization cards ended on Monday. So all these people got sent home from work. They were like, sorry, midnight hit, 11:59 hit, and they all had to leave their jobs, okay? Because they didn't have authorization to work. And these companies are like, I'm not trying to get fined. So, all the people lost their jobs on Monday, right? And then the chief financial officer, and I think CBS may have this clip, local CBS station has this clip where this chief financial officer with a straight face got on and said, there's going to be no financial impact by all these people losing their jobs. Sir, are you told, like, what? What do you mean? Absolutely, there's going to be some financial impact. People aren't going to be able to pay their rent. They ain't going to be able to pay them bills. They're not going to be able to pay for their cars. They're not going to be able to send their kids to school. They're not going to be able to buy no gas. They're not going to be able to buy no groceries. It's a whole bunch of things they're not going to do. And the employers that were relying on them, for example, I got a call from a person who 25% of his staff was people that was on TPS. That man lost 25% of his staff in one day. You think he can go train and hire people all in one day? So there's going to be a gap in services. That's going to have an impact, not on them Haitians that y'all trying to give a hard time to, but the employer. So for a chief financial officer of a whole state to say losing hundreds of thousands of employees overnight is not going to make a difference, bro, you don't need to have that job that you got, and you clearly don't understand how a lot of this works, right? So on the Democratic side, I say vote Earl Ford, but I know Annette Taddeo, she's been running for office. People are familiar with her. I guess if you do that, that's okay too. But I have Earl Ford, because the Republican chief financial officer clearly don't understand it. You know how many people, nurse ain't coming to work on Tuesday, and so now some people had to call out of work because they got to take care of their parents, because we live in these multi-generational homes. So the nurse that was showing up taking care of that home health nurse, that CNA that was there, they ain't coming to work. So families had to pivot and figure it out in a day. And you're going to act like that don't have no impact on your economy? Like, really? Please. Okay. So a Republican, don't vote for no Republican for the chief financial officer, because they don't get it. They're going to let all this hate in their heart just go ahead and destroy the state. And we won't need none of that. All right. So now for the Ag Commission. So we have Joey Mendoza Atkins and Donald Pritchard. So I already said Joey Mendoza Atkins, because when I went to look it up, I found his website with all of his information. When I looked at Donald Pritchard's website, I saw a bunch of photos. Now, I know there's a whole bunch of people supporting him. I don't know enough about the man for y'all to be like, I just couldn't get enough on why he want this gig. So I'm saying Joey Mendoza Atkins. And then, Broward County judges, I did the Miami-Dade ones already, and I'll talk about them again. Broward County judges. So Group 52, we're going Tamar Hamilton in Group 52. And in Group 11, we're doing Veronica N. Walker for the Broward County judges. Okay. Now, there's some school board seats. Wait, let me finish with the Miami-Dade. So Peabody, we did Spencer I. Okay, so Miami-Dade, I'm going back to Miami-Dade again. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so we did this state Senate seat, District 34. Ashley Gant, Shannon Igabara and Christine Sanonjul is there. And I said I'm supporting Christine Sanonjul in that race. And 108. So District 108, Dinah Escamont and Daphne Campbell, who I believe was a former state senator, is in that race. I'm supporting Dinah Escamont. She's one of my Yale campaign school. We weren't classmates, but we're both graduates of that program. So I said Dinah Escamont for that seat. 109. I did a public service event with John Taylor. I think he was either a commissioner or mayor of Opelika. I know he has some Opelika ties. So I would say vote John Taylor in 109. The judges, we talked about them. Renee Gordon, 35. Bonita Jones Peabody, 69. Spencer Ige, 76. Arthur Lamar Marty, Group 5. Group 67, Mabel Ruiz. And Group 25, Luis Perez Medina. Now, Commissioner of District 2, Marlene Bastien. Vote Marlene Bastien for Commissioner District 2. School Board District 1, Linda Cloutier. Vote for her. Referendum 1, yes. Referendum 2, no. Okay, so that's the ballot that I saw for Miami-Dade. There's more of an extensive one with some of the other cities. I'll probably do another video. And get the rest of them, but that's the one that's in the area where my mama stays. So that's why we got that one. So school board, right? So in Broward County, we're going back to Broward County School Board. Group for seat 4, that's Nicole Morse. Nicole is running for seat 4 against some lady who got some 1996 claim to fame that we're not going to talk about. So Nicole Morse for that seat. Seat 5 is already filled. Group 6. I think Group 6 is the one that has like 5 different people in there. I think Adam Severa is doing fine. Go ahead and leave that man there. Group 7, that was Nora Rupert's old seat. Cynthia Dominique, for sure. I mean, Cynthia Dominique. I'm going to stay out of seat 1. I think that's one that Mara is in that seat. I'm gonna just stay out of that one. And then we have the at-large seat with Alan Zeman and Sonia Azim. And I'm telling you, I'll vote for Sonia Azim. Alan's been there. And I'm telling you, since the last 4 years, this board, they can't even get to the point where they're talking about what's good for the kids. All they do is talk about contracts. They get contracts for things that they already have contracts for. You know, they're paying for stuff double. They can't get teachers no money because they're paying double and triple for the same services, you know. And then the thing, and I know Alan interviewed with me back in 2022, and I had some concerns then. But my thing is that if we can't get people on there who really are there for the benefit of the kids, we don't need that. The last 4 years, literally, it's always some talk about some contract, about spending some money on something. It's about at least we finally got the superintendent somewhat stable, because we had like 5 of them in the last 4 years or something like that. So at least we got that a little bit more stable than it was during the last cycle. But let me tell you, Sonia Azim is here to do that work. And I believe we should vote for her. Cynthia Dominique is the one to vote for Nora's seat, and I think that's 7. Adam Severa, I don't really have no complaints. He should have. I sent him an email and he didn't answer me, but I did get some response some kind of way. But he really should have called me back. So if he hear this, you owe me a phone call, Mr. Severa. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell people to leave you there. And then seat 4, Nicole Morse, for sure. She's been putting in that work. She's ready to do the job. You see her everywhere. The other person in that race, and I go to a bunch of events. I don't think I've seen that woman yet. Okay. I mean, I guess we don't hang out in the same places, but I hang out in the places where people need to be if they're trying to find out about who it is to vote for. So vote by mail ballots are out. Please, people, listen, go make sure you vote. It's important. And it also helps the candidates too, so they can have an idea of what the turnout is, how people are sending stuff back. They can figure out what they need to do for their volunteers during the early voting period. Again, let me mention those dates. I was saying it was the 3rd. Apparently it's not. It's August the 8th to August the 16th, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. in Broward. And I don't know, I should check. Let me check the update for what Miami-Dade early voting time was, because I was given dates thinking they were also going to start on the 3rd, but maybe they changed their time too, or maybe they left it the same. So I'm talking and I'm going to look and see what it say. And it says it has a schedule out, and let's see. It says it does say August the 3rd. This is what so Miami-Dade early voting schedule is. They start August the 3rd. So for Miami-Dade, it's going to be August the 3rd to August the 7th, which is Monday through Friday. It's going to be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. August 10th through August the 14th is 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And August 15th and 16th will be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's Miami-Dade. So from what I'm seeing, what I got offline, Miami-Dade say, and this was updated in May, so that might change. And if it does, I will come back and talk about that. But Miami-Dade says they're starting August the 3rd, 7 to 3, Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sundays is going to be 8 to 4 the first week. The second week, 11 to 7. Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 4 again. So they're not using the whole time. So make sure y'all vote. And the reason why I say I think you can still request your vote by mail ballot until August the 6th. One of the reasons why people should request it is so you can see what's on the ballot before you go in, right? So these people who were doing, who was guessing on who they should vote for judges, you don't want to do that. You don't want to walk in that room and don't know who the judges are going to be, because for the most part, unless you're practicing law going into the courtroom, you're not going to know much about these judges, because judges they have a lot of rules on what events they can go to, what it is that they can do. So you're not going to always see them in all types of spaces, because they have a bunch of ethical rules that they have to follow. So you really need to take your time, look them up, look at their record. And if it's somebody you're really interested in, you can go sit in a courtroom and see how they run their docket, right? But definitely get your vote by mail ballot so you can see what's on there, and you'll be prepared when you go and vote. And if you have any questions, go ahead, slide into my DMs. If I can't answer, I will definitely direct you to someone who will. Now, I'm going to make one more comment, and then I'm going to go, because I had a meeting that started at 6, and I'm going to get in there. So one of the things when I talked about these candidates and taking special interest money and all that type of stuff, they always want to say that they're unbought and unbossed. And I just have to tell you, so in one of the races, it turns out that there's a candidate who I'm on a board with with one of their relatives. And I didn't notice at the time. I found this out on Monday when I went to the forum, right? I'm like, what you doing here? Oh, my, whatever is running. I was like, oh, shoot. And I said that person was not ready for the seat. I stand on that, right? I think that person, their interest is really something else, and it shouldn't be in office. And they may have been a good candidate maybe 20 years ago, but right now is not the moment for that particular candidate. But once I realized who the relative was, I was like, I kind of felt some sort of way. I was like, oh, well, maybe, would that have influenced like what I was saying? And had I known this ahead of time? And it may have, right? It really may have, because I know their relative. And I say that, and I bring that point up to say this: when these candidates are trying to tell you that they're unbought, unbossed, and the people who's giving them all this money ain't gonna have no influence on what it is that they do, I can't see how that's true, because that's just against human nature. Because if someone's done something for you, you just may feel like, you know what, I gotta look out. Now, are you gonna look out and end up in prison? No, I'm not saying that. But then a person may get some grace from you because you may have that relationship that someone else may not get. So, they need to stop acting like these people ain't gonna have no say so, no impact on who it is they're making these decisions on, because depending on how much they gave you and how possible they made it for you to win, they're going to have some say so what it is that you're doing. And you're going to at least consider how it's going to impact them when you're making some decisions, right? Even though your goal is to go there to represent the people. All right. So I'm sure I should have talked about a whole bunch more, folks. But that's all I got right now. I really wanted to keep it at 30 minutes. I should have started on time. I couldn't, because like I said, I was fighting that Miami traffic. But I will probably do a recorded video going through the full ballot, because I can access the full ballot on the SOE's website, browardvote.org. And I will do that in order for me to come back, and I'll just record. That'll be a recorded one. It won't be live. And then I'll go ahead and just post that. And I will do that. And there are some candidates that are reaching out to me because they want to come on, which I think is a good thing. But people are voting, y'all. People are voting. So y'all need to get out here and let them know, and just call folks, and because people are voting. And like I said, there's some folks there. There were some folks that voted that I spoke to today, and there was some missed opportunity there. And we all know that 5 votes can make a difference, right? We are from a county where 5 votes made a difference. So every vote count. Make sure you go out and vote. Thank you so much for your time. And there'll be a video coming out before the live next week, because I'm going to be in Atlanta, but I might do a show next week, but it may be with a candidate. They're scheduling with me. All right. So have a good one. Talk to you guys soon. Elections have consequences.